Good afternoon, everybody. We're moving right through these day two cornerback prospects, and we're leading off this video with one that is going to be very, very interesting to most Seahawks fans as we move towards this draft, because not saying this is the best corner, not even close, but he is the corner that is going to get linked to Seattle probably more than any other cornerback because of the stylistic mesh. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a second here if you aren't already familiar with Julius Brents of the Kansas State Wildcats, 23 years old on week one. He's tall, 6'3". He's big, 198 pounds. He's long, 34-inch arms. You could even say his 9 and 5/8 inch hands are pretty big too. So this is an oversized cornerback. This is one of those big ones that they talk about with Tariq Woolen, Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner, Byron Maxwell. This could be the next one. The next oversized cornerback for Pete Carroll to mold. And like a lot of those guys, although not all of them, he does give up something in the category of speed because of his size. 4.53 40s, not great. 1.57 10-yard split. I've seen much better than that from many cornerback prospects, so he's not very fast and he doesn't have great acceleration, but he does kind of make up for it because he's so explosive. And he's really good at things like change of direction and really strong in those little areas of making those quick twitch movements in short areas, the short area quickness. 41.5-inch vert, 11-foot 6-inch broad. The dude is explosive like you would not believe. And the 6'6", 3 cone is pretty off the charts as well. So, yeah, he's not fast, but he does make up for it. Some big boards have him in the second round. In fact, I think most of them do. Some of them have him in the third. The aggregate right now has him in the late second. And personally, I don't know if that's totally justified. It almost feels like a little bit... This reminds me of right after Seattle won the Super Bowl, when suddenly the types of players that Seattle had on that team that were unconventional, like Richard Sherman, like Brandon Browner, like Byron Maxwell, the oversized corners, suddenly became more coveted. And it felt like they started to get overdrafted because they had been underdrafted before. Julius Brents, is he getting overdrafted in the second round? Based on his results on the field, I kind of feel like he is. Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit. This guy was productive at Kansas State. Had 4 interceptions last year, played all 14 games. 3.5 tackles for loss, too, making plays in the backfield. The year before, he played a lot, too. 13 games, he gave you an interception. The pros with Julius Brents are so obvious they barely need to be stated. He is exactly the kind of thing that Carroll loves to work with. He's excellent when coming up in run support as well. He's a good tackler, willing tackler, no issues there. He's really good at closing distance to the ball quickly when he's tackling and when he's trying to break on a pass. He's really good in press. He's strong and lengthy, so it's going to be really hard to get a clean release on him. He might even be able to line up a little bit at safety at the pro level. And just in general, he is a very, very explosive athlete. He actually jumped significantly higher and further than Anthony Richardson, who we were all freaking out about his combine. So what does that tell you about what Julius Brents is doing? Now, his transitions, like when he flips the hips to start chasing a receiver vertically, are not great, and that combined with his lack of elite speed means he's going to get beat deep a little more than you would like, and he does commit some penalties. He gets grabby. Kind of sounds familiar, though. And he should mostly be kept as a zone corner because of those things. But hey, for us, that's totally fine. Now, I hope he's there in the third. I don't know about spending a second-round pick on him, especially in our situation. That being said, he is kind of perfect for this model that we have, right? So I'm hoping he's there in the third personally. And if he's not, oh well. But I am wondering if he might be worth that second round pick. I'm at least putting it on the table there. Okay, next up we have Tyrique Stevenson of the Miami Hurricanes, also 23 years old on week one, 6 feet tall, 198 pounds, so decent size. 32 and 3/8 inch arms, workable. 9 and 5/8 inch hands, nice. Okay 40, really good acceleration though. 10-yard split was 1.51. 38.5 inch vert, 10-foot 5-inch broad, solid. Didn't test quite as well overall as somebody like Brents, but still fairly respectable. A lot of big boards have him in the second. A lot have him in the third. His current spot on the aggregate right now is right at the bottom of the second round. Over the last 2 seasons, he's given you 11 total games. He's got 3 interceptions, 11 passes defensed. He had a pretty good coverage grade from PFF last year, 79.5. So, pretty decent amount of production as well. And what I can say about him as a prospect is pretty simply, he's really good in press, really good at pressing, which makes sense. He's a little bit on the bigger side, and he's got long arms. He's made positive steps with his ball skills in 2022. He showed an ability to play the ball that wasn't quite there in 2011. He's generally just a very physical and aggressive player, which is something that a lot of coaches are going to appreciate and like, especially somebody like Carroll. His acceleration is good. He's going to be able to quickly get up to top speed and make breaks on the ball that some slower accelerating players won't be able to. His level of experience at the college level has allowed him to develop some pretty impressive defensive back instincts on reading route combinations and knowing where to be. And he's a pretty good tackler when he's tackling receivers. Tackling smaller players, he's fine. And I think he'll provide value on special teams as well. Now, he is kind of slow to flip the hips, just like Julius Brents was. Top end speed is going to toast him. When he's playing the speedier receivers, you're going to want to definitely have him in zone. You're definitely going to want to give him help. He's not great in tackling in run support. Like these bigger running backs, they provide a different kind of challenge for Stevenson, and he doesn't do so well tackling them. And overall, even though I do think you could obviously disguise some of his top-end speed problems by putting him in zone, I think that his best chance at NFL success is in press man. I do think that this is a man corner first and foremost, and I don't know if that's really what we're into at the moment. I don't know if that's really... I mean, you're going to have to spend a day 2 pick on this guy, almost certainly. Do you really want to spend it on a guy who's probably going to be better in press man? So there's some stuff to like with Stevenson, but I think he'll be better in a different system. He's a little bit raw. There's just a little too much going on for me to really be into him on day 2. Now, if he somehow fell to day 3, which I don't foresee happening, but it's always on the table, then, okay, I'll bite. Like, there's enough talent here to be worth a 4th-round pick for sure. But short of that, I just think there are better places to spend our picks. So Tyrique Stevenson, like him, I could see him doing well in this system because he is a fairly good athlete, but I just feel like it's not quite the fit that we're looking for in this particular defensive system at this point in time. Okay, one more guy for this video, and it's going to be Jaylon Jones. Interesting little path he's taken to the NFL here from Texas A&M. For one, he's going to be 25 years old before he plays a single NFL snap, which is, for a cornerback especially, that feels like it doesn't happen that often. Feels like they usually get out there a good amount younger than that. You usually don't even see them at 24, it feels like. Pretty big, 6'2", 200 pounds, only 30 3/4 inch arms though, 9-inch hands. Mixed bag at the combine. He had a really slow 40, almost 4.6. 4.57 40 is not going to win him any races, but he accelerates really, really fast. 1.48 10-yard split. This is a guy who gets up to top speed fast. He just doesn't have a very high top speed. Explosiveness was decent. 38-inch vert, 10-foot 2-inch broad. Really nice 3-cone, so he's got good change of direction stuff. And yeah, mixed bag. Some of the big boards have him late day 2. Some have him early day 3. The Draft Network was the only real outlier here. They actually have him going undrafted. They're not big fans of him. But the aggregate right now has him going in the very end of day 2. And seems like a reasonable expectation to me. Although we haven't seen a ton of production from him over his career, it feels like. Last 2 years, he's missed a couple games. He's only played in 10 games the last 2 years. Well, 20 games total, giving you 68 tackles and 2 total interceptions and 4 passes defensed, so not a ton of ball production. But this is definitely an intriguing and interesting player. He's got good size, like 6'2" is nothing to sneeze at. He's got tremendous acceleration, like I said. This was a guy who came out of high school a 5-star athlete and was expected to be the next great corner. It didn't happen, although he did end up being very good. So maybe there's some untapped potential here. He's got very quick reaction times. Once the ball gets in the air, he does a really good job of planting and breaking on the ball so he can go make a play on it. He's able, at least at the college level, when he had to deal with receivers running vertical routes, he was able to hang with it. I don't know if that's going to work in the NFL because of this speed, but he was able to hang with it in college. His short area quickness allows him to shadow routes. Receivers can, have double moves and breaks and in breaking routes, out breaking routes, all this different stuff, and he can shadow it because he is so quick in those short areas. He transitions really well when he flips the hips. He's good in press. He uses his strength and length fairly well. Not that he has a ton of length, but he uses what he has well enough. And he's a good zone corner, too. Plus, I would say he's a positive in run support. Not an amazing run support corner, but pretty good. But there are some reasons to believe it's not going to fully translate to the NFL in all areas. His arms are short, which is going to make it harder for him to tackle and harder for him to press at the line. He's already going to be 25, like I said. His top-end speed might not really serve him well in the NFL against speedier receivers. He commits penalties quite often to try to make up for the fact that he can't keep up with receivers in man. And I think there is a little bit of technique in his game, the little things going on there, like the way he needs to commit to a break sometimes when he sees a receiver have like an in-breaking route and he just needs to go. And that's a little disappointing for a guy who's already 25. So, there's too many red flags here. Too many red flags here. I like him. I think he'll be a good fit for zone. But there's just too much going on here. The short arms, the age, the top-end speed. I'm not really feeling it until round 5, personally. I'm not a big fan. Too much going on here that I just plain don't like. Alright, that's it for this video. One more video coming on these guys later today. See you guys later.